let us talk about type conversion, also known as type casting. Before we proceed to understand what is type conversion or type casting, a simple example shall help. Let us say I want to multiply a character into an integer. Let's say the character value is 0, or let's say it is 1, and the integer is say 50,000. Character occupies just 1 byte. Integer occupies anywhere between 2 to 4 bytes, varying on the compiler and the hardware of a machine. You have a small problem here. In order to multiply a character with an integer, both of them are required to get converted to the same data type. Here, a character has a smaller capacity, followed by the integer which has more capacity. Then you have long int which has more capacity. Then the float, double, and so on. So if you got to multiply a char by an int, the character is promoted to an integer type of data, and then the multiplication happens. Another simple example. If you want to multiply an integer by a floating point or a real number, floating point has a higher capacity or a bigger capacity. So the multiplication is only possible when the int is promoted or typecast or converted to a float. That is what we mean by typecasting or conversion. Now, the word typecasting or conversion means promoting or converting from one data type to the other. Sometimes the compiler does it for you. That is known as implicit conversion or typecasting. Many other times you do it by force or by specifying the typecast operator. That is called as explicit typecasting. Let us first try to understand what is implicit typecasting through an example. Here I have got a variable of the type short j is assigned the value 20, int I is 10, and k is no value. Suppose I say k is I into j. This is integer which has a capacity to store up to 2 raised to 32 amount of data, or 4 bytes worth of data. Short is generally capable of storing 2 raised to 16 or 2 bytes worth of data. Now, you cannot normally multiply int with short without promoting short to int. So here j, which is of the type short, is promoted to an integer data type. Both the multiplication happens and the result is stored in k. So a lower data type is promoted to a higher data type. So implicit conversion means the compiler promotes or converts a lower data type automatically to a higher data type. You need to be careful. If there is a possibility of not being able to convert, the compiler will issue a warning when the conversion is not possible. So think of this as a pyramid. Lowest is character, little more capacity is a short int, then you have int, then you have long, float, and double. So if you have to multiply int with double, integer is promoted to double implicitly or automatically by the compiler. Now let's take a look at what is explicit conversion. Here, the programmer instructs or forces the conversion from a lower data type to a higher, or from a even higher to a lower, both ways, by using the cast operator. Let us say I have short I, int j is equal to 20, k is 30. Suppose I want to multiply j and k, both are of type integer, but the result is going to be stored in a short data type. So here it is my job to typecast or force both k and j just for the sake of multiplication, or just during multiplication, to become the same data type as I, which is the short data type, do the multiplication and store the result in I. Here both j and k are typecast to a short data type. That means from a higher they are brought down to a lower. Otherwise, if this was a big number, suppose this was 400 or 4000 and this was say another 4000, short would not be able to hold that particular number because it would overflow. So in order to avoid such a situation, you are typecasting it into or downcasting it into short k and short j.